We'll start with flag salute and a moment of silence. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Donahue. Mr. Elling. Mr. Johnston.
Here. Erickson.
Mr. Koch. Ms. Lynch.
Here.
Ms. Lynch.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good, good. I'm very much here. Thank you.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Probert.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Here.
And Mr. Strauss.
Here.
6 members present.
Okay. So our presentation this evening is the comprehensive building improvement plans. I know they did quite a bit of this at the curricular meeting on Tuesday, but we do need to have an overview for the whole board and vote on these. So Megan, you ready?
Yes, thank you, Tracy, and good evening, everyone. Rolanda and I are going to do a quick overview of the school improvement plans as a general elementary and secondary look, because all of our improvement plans across the district are very similar to one another because we tie them directly back to our comprehensive plan. And so I think you'll see a lot of commonalities tonight between what's in our school improvement plans and what's in the comprehensive plan. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And Rolanda and I just have a quick presentation, and then we will entertain any questions that you have. So our 2021 school improvement plans we're bringing in front of you tonight because we do need them to be board approved before we can submit them to PDE for final approval. Submitting them to PDE is an important step in complying with our federal funding requirements. And so tonight is really about bringing these plans in front of you so that we can keep you in the loop, but also meet our federal requirements. And so normally in a normal school year, we would bring these plans to you over the summer leading up into the current school year. Because of COVID and because the state changed the Future Ready Comprehensive Planning portal, there's a new school improvement plan template in that portal for the first time. So because of those two things, we are bringing you the 2021 school improvement plans now for your approval. But we will actually, in a few months, be bringing you the 21-22 school improvement plans in order for you to approve those prior to the start of the school year. So that's just kind of a little bit of why we are where we are right now. It is just a matter of the COVID and the portal change and doing everything we need to do to stay compliant. So as you know, we have 3 main buckets of our federal funding. And Title I is really federal monies that focus on the most at-risk students in schools. So we currently focus on grades K-4, and the schools with the highest socioeconomic needs receive those supplemental funds. Title I funds cannot take the place of what local and state money would purchase for the school without Title I funds. So Title I is all about that improvement of the low socioeconomic schools and that focus of K-4. Title II and Title IV are different buckets, all related to federal programming still, but Title II is money that is intended to support teachers through class size reduction or professional development opportunities at any school K-12. So you'll see tonight, Rolanda's going to highlight our elementary plans because we have to have the elementary school improvement plans as a Title I requirement. But we are also doing secondary school improvement plans because our secondary schools benefit from Title II and Title IV funding. So Title II is all about that professional development. And so anything that is in our plan that requires professional development of our teachers, we can use Title II money to pay for. Title IV is all about creating a well-rounded school and a well-rounded district. So there are 3 main buckets of things that you can use in Title IV, and it really revolves around creating safe and healthy students, effective use of technology, and anything that can be considered well-rounded educational opportunity. So when a district receives these federal funds, all the federal guidelines must be followed. And so Rolanda and I partner together to oversee federal programs and make sure that we are always abiding by all the federal mandates and plans. Go ahead, Rolanda.
Thank you. So that flows beautifully into where we are with the school-wide programs with our Title I schools. Every one of our elementary schools, from Liberty Curtin, Mill Hall, Renovo, Robb, and Woodward, we are all what we call school-wide Title I schools. That means that we can serve any children in the school who need assistance. In a targeted assistance school, you have to rank order the children based on need, and then you can only serve a certain portion of the students. In our situation, we can serve all students who have a need. Each and every year, we have to analyze data from many different sources to create this school-wide improvement plan, and it has to be something that we show in a Title I audit. The other thing that we have to remember is that any expense we pull out of a Title I fund must be documented as part of a goal in our school-wide improvement plan. And so that's one of the reasons that you have to take this very seriously, and it's all about the fiscal management of those federal funds, and that's why it has to be approved by the school board as well. All of our plans have to be updated at least one time before the end of the school year. That usually coincides with after you've done your winter benchmarking, and grants do what they call at this time of year a reallocation. Sometimes there are more charter schools that are created and they have to take a little slice of the pie from everybody. And about this time of year, you get your grant reallocation and you find out, hey, did we get a little more? Oh, did we lose a little bit, or did we maintain status quo? This year we lost about $11,000. And so we're in the process of reallocating those funds and making that grant completely align with how we have spent the money and what our plans are. So every audit requires proof of many, many things. And we actually have to prove that we have completed the plan. We have to prove that families, staff, and community members participated in the plan. And we have to prove that the plan was board approved. And that's why we're bringing it here to you tonight. One of the things I mentioned, if you want to move to the next screen, Megan, is that we do pull from a variety of sources of data. And this was, as she mentioned, our very first year with this new, more comprehensive format. And they call it a powerful dive into data to look for patterns of performance. Really, when they put this new format together, what it did is it aligned all of the plans across the state so that they all started to look very similar in structure, because it wasn't as tightly structured as it is now. They made suggestions on what you should do. This time, you literally had to go step by step by step. And you analyze such things as starting with the Future Ready PA Index. And that is where you take a deep dive into what do your PSSA math scores look like, your English language arts scores, your science performance. How are you doing on those career readiness indicators? Within all of those areas, how are the English learners specifically performing? How are your students with disabilities performing? How are your economically disadvantaged populations performing? How are children based on race and ethnicity performing in your district? You have to compare all of those different things. And then what you start to do is you start to peel out and say, this looks like a need that we have. From all of those needs, you pull out priorities. And you don't only look at the information that's from the state, you also look at your local assessment data, and you also look at attendance. Now, a couple months ago, we talked to you about where all of our scores were. We talked to you about all the different things that we use. We talked to you about where we were with attendance. So we've analyzed every single bit of that information, every single school prioritized, and then we each came up with goals. Well, the amazing thing we found about our goals at the elementary level were they were very, very similar across the board. So if you want to progress to the next screen, At the elementary level, we are really looking hard at kindergarten and first grade English language arts. And we take our Ames Web assessment information and we are setting goals to have our children improve from where they started the year to where they're going to end the year. We take a really hard look at that data through data team meetings. We have put intervention periods into every single one of the elementary schedules, and we pull intervention groups and we rework those groups based on progress monitoring of that data. And we have used federal funds to purchase for the professional development and the materials for ECRI and Hagerty, and they give us targeted, systematic science of reading based instruction. And really what that boils down to, if you walked into any one of the classrooms, we are at its simplest level, really focusing on teaching the children, here is the letter, here is the sound that letter makes. When you take those letters and those sounds and you start to blend them together, you will come up with words. And we move from words into sentences, and we move from sentences into comprehension. Now, that's a really quick overview. It's much more complex than that. But you really do have to break it down to its simplest form, and that is, what sound does that letter make? What sounds do those letters make when you put those together? And that's how you come up with words. And that is what we're starting to do. And we really started to realize when we looked at our next goal, our 3rd and 4th grade English language arts scores, we started to realize that there were children in 3rd and 4th grade who were struggling to even read some of the PSSA questions because they were struggling to get through, what is this word? How do I even start to break it apart? So that's where we really realized we had to go back to the science of reading based instruction and say, we have to start at our simplest components. So for our 3rd and 4th grade students, we're looking at the MAPS test and the RIT score we get out of it, which tells us where the children are, what they're ready to tackle, where their zone of proximal development, they call it, which is just that right, ready to learn place. And we also look at what are we doing for intervention with them? We have something called System 44, which is a very targeted intervention for the older students. We've done something to bring everybody in as a community called One Book, One School, and they've done the Lemonade War, and I believe they talked to you about that at the last board meeting and how it became publicized. The author actually sent us a little video about how pleased she was with us for doing that. And we've incorporated PLCs, and we've done training, and we've used Title II funds to do training for PLCs so that the teachers can learn to work together, focus on the data, and do data-driven interventions. One of the goals that we had in there was we were really wanting to push for math intervention going into the next school year. But as we talked, COVID really made a difference in everything that we did. And what we realized was we need to push that back a year. And so when we talked to you earlier about needing to revise our school improvement plans at least once so that the auditors can see that we've revisited them, this is something that will be in there right now, but we will go back, and before the end of the year, we will edit that goal and change the year that we want to reach that goal. So those are the 3 primary areas that we are looking at improvement right now, and how we've looked to spend the federal funds for this current school year.
Great. So I'm going to talk just quickly about our secondary goals. So our secondary principals all worked together just as our elementary team did. And we really looked at the data that was presented 2 months ago and really took a deep dive into that data to look at what our needs are and what should be in our school improvement plans in accordance with that data. So the 3 main goals that we have across our secondary level is our goal number 1, and each and every building plan relates to ELA and math performance data. So we used, prior to the 2021 school year, we used Ames Web for special education students, but what we quickly realized coming into this school year was the need for more data, more benchmarking data outside of PSSAs and Keystones, because those are one measure that is a quick look, but you need that benchmarking data throughout the school year to be able to inform instruction and to be able to use that data purposefully in the classroom to specifically meet the skill needs of each student. So that is why we used Title IV funding to purchase the MAP NWEA assessment so that we could implement that and have more data available to us in order to make those instructional decisions that we need to make. We also have data team meetings and PLCs, and we've also implemented Read 180 and Systems 44 in order to address the skill gaps in reading. The second goal in every secondary plan is about school culture and climate. And so we know that culture and climate is a really important piece of how every building works. And so within every secondary school, there is a goal related to school culture and climate. And what we're really looking at each of those is the behavior data that's related to staff and student disrespect referrals, and also student to student disrespect referrals. So we have implemented this year SWIS, which is a system that allows us to track behavior data. And so implementing SWIS and also implementing the second step program to teach those social emotional learning components really are the things that we've put in place in order to address this school culture and climate goal. So we're hoping to see overall about a 10% reduction in our behavior referrals in the realm of respect. Because we believe if we see a decline in the amount of referrals related to student disrespect to each other and to teachers, that is an overall indicator of how our culture and our climate and our PBIS systems and how all those things are working together to improve school culture. And then the third element that every secondary school has, and we've talked about this before with our data, is the need to improve our attendance rates. Attendance is directly related to student achievement, because if they are not in school, they are not learning. And so we knew that we needed to increase our student attendance rates, because that increased attendance usually results in increased student achievement. So every building at the secondary level also has an attendance goal, and it is to decrease the number of attendance related citations by 5%. And so we took the base number that we had in 1920 and looked to reduce those by about 5% for 2021.
So really this next part is basically our promise to the board. And here's how we're going to operate. We're going to continue to review our progress on our goals. We are going to work on our grant reallocation to update the expenditure areas, and we will show the revision of our school-wide improvement plan. So as we shared at the elementary, for example, it'll be the moving of the math to a future goal. We will analyze our data and make sound fiscal decisions about how to best use the federal program funds for the 21-22 school year. And we will always bring those plans to you for approval each year. And our ultimate goal is we want to make all of our schools the choice for our communities. And we want to make you as the school board proud, and we want to make the community proud. And really, the way our school improvement plans feed into the comprehensive plan of the district, it's how we make ourselves grow. At this time, do you have any questions that we can answer for you?
Actually, I do. Under school culture and climate as a secondary goal, is that also part of your elementary goals? For the student staff disrespect and the student disrespect? Is that being used in the elementary school also? Because it seems to me the elementary schools, that's where I know majority of the teachers, that their biggest complaint is the disrespect the students show the teachers and each other. And it seems to me if we can nip that in the bud in the elementary schools, then maybe it wouldn't be such a problem in high school. So it seems to me maybe we should be putting more focus on the elementary school side of that than we are the secondary side.
We did not add that as a primary goal for this current school year. That is something, however, as we go into the update, if that is something that the board chooses for us to put in, we definitely can add that in. We have the information from SWIS now that we can use. We just started using SWIS within the last month or so at the elementary levels. So everything in their plan has to be very data driven. So we would have to definitely have the data in order to put in what our goal could be. But it is definitely a goal at the elementary level because we participate in the positive school-wide behavior systems, and we want to make sure that all of our children from kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade are behaving in a manner that is polite and respectful to everyone, peers as well as teachers.
Just to jump in with Rolanda too, we're also doing the second step lessons with our guidance counselors and teacher taught at the elementary level, Randy.
Thanks, Betsy.
And every principal is on here tonight, so if you have any questions related to specific building plans, they are also here to speak to that. Rolanda and I did the quick overview, but if you have any questions related to a specific building, they can absolutely answer those while we're here tonight as well.
So when do we expect to see the next update then?
So we will do an update on all of these, as Rolanda mentioned, before the end of the school year. And then we will close out 2021. And then we will begin our work on next year's school improvement plans. We kind of mapped out a timeline in order to get these completed before September 1st of next school year. So as soon as we start to wrap up this school year, probably in May and June, we will start reconvening our teams and start looking at the data that we do have available to us and kind of wait for that additional data to come in from PSSAs and Keystones and those different data points so that we can start to, this summer, really start analyzing the data from this past school year in order to make our goals for next school year. So the goal would to be get the 2021 school improvement plans in front of you by July or August.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the board?
Just one comment to Megan and the principals and everybody. I'm really glad to see that you're using so many different sources of data in these plans, because I think the more you have, the better you can design the instruction for the students. And it looks like you've used some of your title funding to add some good assessment tools, and I think that's going to certainly help. It certainly can't hurt to have as much data as possible, and you can to help guide your instructional plan. So the plans look very well done and very thorough, and I'm excited to see what the results will be.
Tracy, may I say a quick comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hi, thank you. Again, you gave a great presentation during the committee meeting. So we were really well versed in this. We got to ask a lot of questions. I feel highly confident I can say this on behalf of everybody. We wanted this 10 years ago. We wanted this 5 years ago, and you both delivered, and your whole team. And we can't tell you how happy we are. We know you have a lot of work to do. I wish there was something we could do to help you. Please keep going where you're going, and thank you very, very much. Okay.
Thanks for that, Elizabeth. And it truly is a team effort. When we worked on these school improvement plans, our elementary team worked together many hours worth of just picking each other's brains and working through this process, because it's a new process to everybody. And so it's different. And we couldn't do it without the teamwork, just like I feel like we say that after every presentation we do. We can't do it without the teamwork, but it really is true here. Our elementary team works so well together. Our secondary team, the same is true. So we're very blessed to have a great team, and we're gracious for your support as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I mean, I'm here, but.
Well, and Elizabeth, I'm glad that you brought that up as well, because I mentioned this the other night, but it's good for the whole board to hear what the board does to help us be successful, is support us with the resources necessary, such as the curriculum director and position, as well as approving all of the additional resources that we can use for this. So thank you to the board for your support. And I believe that this ongoing relationship and transparency of the improvement data, as well as the plans and the efforts that we're putting into it and how we're aligning the funding to get results, will definitely be a positive relationship moving forward, and a lot of transparency for the public as well.
All right, thank you. We do not have any visitors or anybody's signed up to speak tonight. And Dr. Martin, unless something's changed, doesn't have a superintendent's report. You're still good. Okay. So board members, you see in section E for the board are all the separate plans, improvement plans for elementary and secondary schools. And then under F for our business this evening, there's a recommendation to accept the bid from J.C. Orr and Son Incorporated of Altoona, pending solicitor review for the Bucktail Canopy and Exterior Project, not to exceed $1,325,520 from the 2020 bond issuance, and to accept project alternates, 1 at 20,000, alternate 2 at 13,000, and alternate 3 at 4,000. Does any board members or anybody have any input, comments on that? There was, you can see on the bottom there, there was an additional bid received. So that compares that. Okay. Mr. Strauss.
I'd like to make a motion to move items E1 through 9 and item F1.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye, please. Upside.
Aye.
My bad, what?
Discussion.
Oh, sorry, discussion. My bad, sorry. Anybody have any comments?
So
Okay.
happy this is happening.
Yes, actually, Tracy, can I have a roll call vote on that, please?
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Probert,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Strauss,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Ms. Lynch.
Is
Yes.
Is that a board member chiming in there?
6 yes votes, motion
that a
passes.
Extra. All right. Any board members have anything else for the good of the board? All right.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.